Live stream audio test, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this meeting of the North Somerset Council Executive. We've got a fair few items on the agenda today, but we'll obviously get through them as expeditiously as possible. Before I start, if I could just ask everyone in the chamber, when the meeting has concluded, if you could leave the room as quickly as possible, that would be really helpful, because we obviously have got elections work going on in the vicinity in the context of the Police and Crime Commissioner elections. So if we can clear out the way so that that work can continue appropriately, that would be perfect. And obviously, if you haven't voted yet, if you've got your postal vote, you've still got time, and polling day is on the 2nd of May. Okay. So we'll get cracking with the agenda that we've got today. So first and foremost, addresses from members of the public. I don't believe we have any. Thank you. Apologies for absence. So I've had notification that Councillor James Clayton is unable to attend. And I note that Councillor Jenna Homaris is not here. Is she sent apologies? Oh, she's on her way. Okay, that's great. Otherwise, we're all here. Any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest from members? No? Okay, thank you. So then item 4, the minutes of the last meeting, which was on the 27th of March. So I'll move approval of those. Can I have a seconder? Thank you. We're happy they're a correct record. Yep. Everyone indicate accordingly. Thank you. Non-exec councillors' addresses. I think, again, we have none. Item 6, matters referred, which are not on the agenda, there are none. So the first substantive item is the month 11 budget monitor report, which I will be presenting. So you'll note from the report that there are a number of recommendations associated with this one this month. Most of them are the usual usual noting of the revenue and capital forecasts, but we've also got a few changes to note in terms of accepting the funding that we've received for decarbonisation work at Hutton Moor Sports Centre, which has been reported previously elsewhere. We've got a couple of additional fees and charges decisions which are covered in the report in item 3.1, and we've also got formally noting the change to the revenue budget in respect of the Household Support Fund award, which was confirmed by the government recently. So hopefully colleagues have noted those recommendations. In terms of the overall budget monitor, it feels a little bit like deja vu all over again, because it's the same issues that we have reported and discussed at Executive and at Council previously. Obviously, we're continuing to work hard to make sure that we deliver a balanced budget for the 23-24 financial year, and it feels a bit weird to be saying that when that financial year is of course finished, but this report reflects month 11, of course, and the areas which we've encountered the biggest spending pressures are the same ones that we've reflected previously, so particularly around adult services, children's services, home to school transport, and waste disposal costs, and obviously those are reflected in the detailed report that is before you. So I'll propose approval of those recommendations, and if I can have a seconder, please. Councillor Solomon, thank you. Is there anything you want to add or particularly speak to, Amy?
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to add thanks to colleagues across the council who have been working hard to deliver not a balanced position for year end, but an improved financial control environment, and those efforts don't go unnoticed. Thanks.
Thanks, Amy. Any questions or comments from anyone? Nope. Okay. Thank you. So if colleagues could indicate their support for the recommendations, please. Thank you very much. Okay, then we'll move on to item 8, which is a further report on the Winterstoke Road Bridge detailed design and construction contract. So again, this one is in my name, and the report updates where we've got to in terms of the procurement process and the award of contract for the Winterstoke Road Bridge replacement project. This has obviously been on the agenda for Council and the Executive for a few years now, and is the important project to replace the Winterstoke Road Bridge, which is an interesting anomaly in that it was owned by the Ministry of Defence, built by the Ministry of Defence back in 1943, and now due for replacement. So really big and important strategic project in Western, and the report just gives me delegated authority to award the contract for detailed design and construction. The report is self-explanatory in terms of setting out the process, how we've got to the position that we are, and the funding arrangements. So I'll move approval of the recommendation and ask for a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Solomon. And invite any questions or comments from members. Yes, Terry, Councillor Porter.
Yeah, it's only just one thing. When it actually happens, we need to make sure we get the signing and that right, because once you put the restriction on there, we've had quite a few large lorries trying to go through. They're having a job to get through Hutton at the moment with the road closed there and going round. But we did have quite an increase in vehicles coming through there when you restricted it first of all. So when it closes, we need to make sure we don't get them coming through the village as a rat run. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I know that our transport team and Hannah and I have been very much focused on how we can manage this process and get the timing right to mitigate any wider impacts on the network. You'll know from the report that one of the challenges we've got is, of course, that we're not in control of some of this because of the requirement to have periods of railway closure in order to carry out the work. But we're absolutely on it in terms of the points that you raised. Mark, Councillor Caniford.
And it's just linked to what Terry just said. Of course, we've got no one here from the area, but if Hannah and yourself can look at possibly traffic signals on the Carnation estate, because the buses can't get out now generally, and if all the traffic is moving around that way, no one will be able to get in and out of that area, which will become a problem. It's pretty tricky now.
Thanks, Mark. And I think we just have to recognise that with a big project and particularly the strategic importance of this road link, there are going to be, unfortunately, some consequences, and we're just going to have to live through them. But absolutely, let's look at any specific measures that we can introduce to tackle those issues. Okay, so I can't see any further questions or comments. So can we have... Can
we just check there's no question?
Yeah, that's thanks. And actually, I'll just say apologies to Councillor Bridger, who did have a question and is online on the previous item, but apologies, I didn't see that until we'd moved on, but I know we'll get that picked up offline. Okay, so can I have colleagues' support for the recommendations then, please? Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll now move on to item 9, which is the Children's Services Commissioning Intentions report. So that's over to you, Catherine and Councillor Gibbons.
Thank you. I'll try to be brief. So obviously you can see that the purpose of this report is set out there. It's about commissioning intentions for the coming year 24-25. Commissioning in children's services is really crucial in ensuring that we meet the needs of children and families effectively by setting our strategic priorities and objectives to ensure that resources are allocated where they're most needed. Its focus is obviously always to achieve the most positive outcomes for children and families rather than just delivering services. So by measuring and evaluating outcomes, commissioners like us can assess the impact of services and make informed decisions about the future and future priorities. Overall, our commissioning plays a vital role in ensuring that our services are responsive, effective and of high quality. Ultimately, again, aiming to improve the outcomes for children and families, which is always our focus. We also hope to improve the quality of services by specifying standards and outcomes and hold service providers accountable for delivering high-quality services to meet these needs. Commissioning does also allow for coordination across different sectors, as you'll see, health, education, social care, working in partnership, also with a range of stakeholders and service providers like community organisations and other service users. This collaborative approach helps us ensure that services do respond to the needs and are delivered in a coordinated manner. Ideally, should be used more effectively to achieve not only the better outcomes I keep harping on about, but also by engaging in competitive procurement process and performance monitoring can drive better value for money and ensure we are really using the most effective resources, and encourage innovation in service provision, allowing for flexibility to adapt services in response to changing needs. So, with all that in mind, I'm here to ask for your approval for the participation of North Somerset Children's Services in the following activities: delegating to the Director of Children's Services the approval to determine the relative procurement route and the award of any contract in consultation with the relevant executive member. So it is the extension of a residential children's home dynamic purchasing system for a further 2 years, the extension of the independent non-maintained schools sub-regional flexible framework, and the creation of a sub-regional dynamic purchasing system for the provision of accommodation and support for care leavers aged 16 plus. And finally, the creation of a sub-regional framework for the provision of complex care services. And I'd just like to thank Alison Stone and the commissioning team for the preparation of this report and indeed the commissioning plan. And also thank councillors who I know have read this carefully, because I've received quite a number of questions prior to this. So it's really good and refreshing to see the engagement in this very important area. So thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And is there a seconder for the recommendations? Yep, thank you, Hannah. Okay, any questions or comments? Nope, and I don't think we've got any online. I'll try to keep a better eye on that. Thank you. So if colleagues would like to indicate their support for the recommendations, please. Thank you very much. Okay, that one's passed. And we'll move on to item 10, which is the commissioning plan for the delivery of the SEND interventions at the Voyage Learning Campus. So again, that's Councillor Gibbons and Councillor Waite, although I'm sure Catherine's going to lead on it. Catherine?
Yeah, I'll start and I'll pass on to Annemieke. This is something that is quite close to my heart, because the particular campus for the Voyage Learning Campus is in my ward in Milton. So, for those of you who don't know, as a bit of context, the Voyage Learning Campus opened in April 2013, and it is basically a pupil referral unit, a provision for young people who aren't able to attend mainstream school due to either medical or health reasons or permanent exclusion from school for whatever reason. It has incredibly dedicated teachers who are really committed to the young people, many of whom have faced serious challenges. And they help these children to develop resilience, confidence, and reach a level of academic potential, supporting them to develop relationships with others and have a more positive outlook on life. It's not always easy, but progress is always possible. As an alternative provision, it's able to offer a flexible, personalised curriculum, which helps students gain in confidence and skill. And often it enables them to move back into mainstream or sometimes a specialist provision. Those who don't get referred on or get back into mainstream schools stay with the Voyage Learning Campus, and I have to say they do attain a range of qualifications, and the Voyage Learning Campus is rightly proud of its record with these students, getting post-16 places, apprenticeships and employment. So the school has 3 phases. It looks after children from primary to year 7, which is phase 1. Phase 2 is year 8 to 11, and phase 3 are students of all ages who require medical tuition. The Milton site offers phase 1 and phase 3, and the report outlines the commissioning plan to proceed with a procurement exercise to award the construction contract to deliver works to improve and enhance the school to accommodate additional pupils, as well as having clearly defined areas within the site for the primary age children and the children with medical and anxiety needs. As you probably remember, in October of 22, North Somerset submitted a bid to join the safety valve programme. And within this bid, there was an allocation for capital investment to contribute to controlling and reducing the revenue deficit by adding additional SEND places. And the funding that was granted also included enhancements to this school, the Voyage Learning Campus site in Weston-super-Mare. It's a key part of the Safety Valve programme, and as a result, the school will have 2 new built areas, as well as overall refurbishment of the existing site. So, for example, the school's current lobby will be reconfigured, I should say, to create 2 separate entrances for Phase 1 and Phase 3 students, as well as having an additional classroom and reworking the current layout so that it better suits the school's needs. At the same time, the look and feel of the area will be carefully considered to create the best possible environment for the needs of the students. And as the ward councillor, I just want to say to residents in the area that I shall be keeping an eye on the works going on and make sure that residents aren't affected in any way negatively. And I do know that in the area, people are appreciative and supportive of the school. So, to sum up, I'm asking for approval of the construction contract commissioning plan for the refurbishment and enhancement of provision scheme at the Voyage Learning Campus site in Milton, Weston-super-Mare, to the value of £1,098,000 as part of approved actions within the Safety Valve Agreement. And I will just pass on to my colleague Annemieke Waite, who may want to give some more detailed information on the contract process.
I'm going to be really brief about this, just to say that this is obviously a really great project that we're really pleased to be involved with, and it's particularly important for us that we have local send places available within the community, and I think that that's something that obviously Catherine and I have been working really hard on, and we're really keen to support that process. I don't know that I was going to say anything else other than that, though. Thank you.
Thank you. And can I assume that you will second the recommendations then, Annemieke? Perfect. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Catherine. Okay, any questions or comments from anyone on the recommendations or report? Nope, I can't see any. Okay, so if colleagues would indicate their support for the recommendations or otherwise. Thank you very much. That's approved. So I'll move on to item 11, which is the bus service improvement plan refresh update report. So that's in the name of Hannah. Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mike. Hopefully quite a straightforward paper today and fairly self-explanatory. I'm sure it's not escaped anyone's attention that we've got a bus service improvement plan in place that was first agreed in October 2021, which covers a whole range of improvements which were intended to rebuild the bus network after COVID, the fare reductions, supported routes, additional services, the Westlink DRT trial, and as well as a whole host of other things, and the bus priority schemes. We're required by the Department for Transport to refresh our bus service improvement plan by the 12th of June in order to continue drawing down the funding that is currently supporting all of those things, including the additional services that are currently running within our communities and the fare reductions, as well as the other works. So we're very keen to make sure that we do so. We have a very limited time to do that, and we want to be as open and involving as possible. So rather than make any delegations to an executive member to approve that, the recommendation of the paper is that we have a special additional meeting of the executive on the 19th of June so that we have a little bit more time to involve members and others in the process of refreshing the plan. There has already been some work already, as you'll see from point 4.1 and 4.2 at the paper. We started as soon as we knew that we were going to have this requirement to engage with members and towns and parish council, and we've also been running surveys around use of the bus network and so on for some time. So, but we do want to make best use of the opportunity to take the next few weeks, talk to people around what might go in that refreshed document, and bring that back for formal decision on the 19th of June. You'll see we've secured a short extension from the Department for Transport in order to do that, because the deadline should have been the 12th. And I look forward to talking to people further, assuming that's agreed, around what will go specifically within the plan. One thing I would note is that the refreshed document is not a bid for funding. It does have to set out our ambitions and aspirations, but it's not something which at this stage is any bid for any further funding beyond the current period that we're in, which runs to the end of March 2025. So I'd ask if anybody has any questions, but otherwise for your support in that approach.
Thank you, Hannah. And can I have a seconder for the recommendations? Thank you, Catherine. Okay, any questions or comments on anything? So Jenna, Councillor Homaris.
Thank you very much, Mike. And thanks very much, Hannah, for your presentation. I just wanted to comment on the possible, and ask if we can incorporate the emerging rural strategy that North Somerset Council has been developing with Councillor Waite in the BSIP refresh. I understand the timing is quite tight, but we do have 1/3 of all our residents living in rural areas, and from my work in the health in the health sphere, I do hear a lot from residents who have their their health and well-being is very much affected by being in a rural area and not having access to the transport, the public transport and other options that they might be able, that would keep them well for longer. So I think the time frame for the rural strategy is it's still under consultation at the moment. So if there's a way that we can somehow make sure that we are incorporating what's coming out of that into the BSIP and reflect that to the people who will read our refresh BSIP, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. We've actually just had a BSIP board this afternoon, and that point was raised. Very much we would want to incorporate all the learning that we've had from the engagement that's taken place and make the proper linkages across to our own corporate plan and also a range of strategies. We also talked about the importance of reflecting our aspirations around reducing inequalities across the whole of the district, and clearly that in part is linked to rural strategy, not only what rural strategy is about, but we definitely want the document to reflect actually our broader aspirations as a council. So very much take that on board.
Thank you. Councillor Porter, Terry.
Yeah, thank you. Do you know when you're going to do the consultation with the parish councils? Because I do know that Locking, at their last parish council meeting, there was quite a lot of time spent on the bus service, especially the 7 that goes into Locking Parklands, and why it just can't go to the village to help them. I know we've raised this before, but they would like to feed in, if they could, the information.
So we did run a session, and I'm trying to recall exactly. It would have been during March, which was open to all town and parish councils. If anyone missed that for any reason, I think when we did circulate the slides to towns and parishes with the questions at that stage, I think I can certainly commit that we'll recirculate those slides and invite anyone who missed the opportunity to put their points forward to do that as soon as possible, really.
Can they send the feedback direct into you?
Yes, I could. Okay. We'll get it sent out from the team. Send it in, and we will also be having a. I didn't mention we've now diaried an all councillor informal scrutiny session on the 9th of May. So if there's anything that any ward member would like to feed in as part of that process, that you're picking up from your local areas, as well as the information that comes direct from the parish council, be very pleased to hear it.
Okay, thank you very much. I can't see any other hands, so we can move forward with the recommendation. And can I just put on record my thanks to Hannah and the team who are leading on the BSIP work, because I think we just need to recognise that we've got an extremely complex set of projects going on here, including this refresh work, which is very much about what next in terms of the long term for bus service improvement. So I think we all recognise that there's a lot going on, and this is an extremely challenging set of projects to be managing. So really appreciate all the hard work that's going in. So could colleagues indicate their support for the recommendations, please? Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is item 12, which is the proposed amendments to contract standing orders. So this is recommending these changes to go to Council for adoption. The report covers the background to these changes. It's something that we do regularly, although we haven't done for a few years. So quite a number of things have changed in the landscape in the last few years, notably the United Kingdom's departure from the European Union. So there's a whole raft of European legislation that's no longer relevant in our contract standing orders. Hopefully colleagues will have read the report and we can then move this one on to Council for adoption. I think it's important to note that there aren't any proposed changes to the thresholds for member decision and member involvement in contract awards. So it's very much business as usual in terms of that, but important tidying up and making sure that we're current with our guidance and legislation and making sure that we've got contract standing orders that are effective and work in terms of making good quality decisions on the contracts that we award. So I'll move approval, and if I can ask for a seconder, please. Thank you, Catherine. Any questions or comments on the report? Nope, I can't see any. Okay, so again, if you would be all happy to indicate your support or otherwise. Thank you very much. So that's that one approved, and we'll move on to item 13, which is the Q3 performance and risk update. So again, this is just for noting we have this report regularly, and a similar version goes before our policy and scrutiny panels and also to individual exec members for their consideration. Again, it's just really pleasing to have a report that reflects good progress on a number of areas across the organisation and highlights those where we've got challenges and the focus that we need to put in terms of moving those forward. So I'm happy to move the recommendation that we note that. Unless there's any questions or comments from anyone, we will move on and take that as read. Yep, great. Thank you very much. And then item 14, which is the forward plan. So again, just for noting and putting on the public record, any questions or comments that anyone has on the forward plan? Nope, again. Oh, yes, Hannah, sorry. Nearly missed you.
We did discuss this at the recent council meeting, but I just wanted to flag up again that the forward plan includes a number of decision dates for bus service improvement plan schemes. Since that forward plan version was developed, we've obviously instituted a pause in the BSIP programme, and we are revisiting those dates. So because of the timing of the papers, the forward plan here, I wouldn't want anyone to have any anxiety that these are the new dates that I talked about in the council meeting last week. I think it was, we had council, wasn't it? So they will be updated soon. I'm not sure exactly when, but just to reassure people, please don't take these as the dates that we'll be making decisions on the priority schemes, the infrastructure schemes.
Thanks, Hannah. That's a really helpful clarification. And just to assure everyone, the forward plan will be updated in the next iteration, which will be in May, and those dates will be amended accordingly. Okay, I've got no other questions or comments on that. So item 15, which is the West of England sub-region, we've got no business. So item 16, which is oral reports from exec members. So if anyone wants to say anything. So yeah, Jenna, Councillor Ho-Maris.
We're really whizzing through tonight, aren't we? But I'm going to put a bit of a roadblock in this. Look, just three short things. The first is for the Health and Wellbeing Board. So just to say that, well, the previous meeting was on Valentine's Day, 14th of Feb. The next session is going to be 3rd of July. But we have a special session, which is on the 21st of May, which is currently being organised with Health and Wellbeing Board and HOSP with Councillor Helen Thornton. But I would imagine it's open to certainly all exec and all councillors who are interested. It's going to be at Front Room, which is the Fringe Theatre, which is supposed to be an inclusive and affordable fringe theatre and arts experience, which is just round that way, I think. It's led by Superculture, our fantastic placemaking. Well, they're not ours, but they're Western and North Somerset's fantastic arts organisation, Fiona Matthews. And the topic is the benefits of linking arts, culture and health, a chance to experience how this approach is being delivered in North Somerset. So the idea is attendees will have the chance to see arts in action, hear from residents who have benefited from local projects, and join a discussion on how we can collaborate to secure more of these health and wellbeing benefits in our community. The session will also reflect on how action in North Somerset is helping to build the evidence base around tackling inequalities in coastal communities. And there is going to be food and drink provided, I believe, possibly. So if anyone is interested, I welcome you to come and join this very, what is looking like a very interesting session with some quite high-level health people coming. So that's very exciting. The next thing is about health inequalities. So I am working with our Director of Public Health, as some of you know, on a health inequalities paper. We have a draft out, and I just want to say that there's something about not only having the policy and the strategy, but also practical actions and place-specific actions. So are there ways to embed health equalities or health opportunities in all our council's work? For example, how we speak with residents, you know, making every interaction count, how we spend our money. We are a £200 million net council, but you know, more in terms of gross spend. And of course, how we design our places. So, for example, exactly like the Western Town Centre sites, where we have resource constraints, how do we do things in the most effective way possible? And this should recognise that health, housing, climate, economy, and inequalities are all joined up. So I hope to be able to work with you all on this in the near future. The last point is on housing. As we have in our calendar, 20th of June is the Housing Standards in Private Rental Sector Inquiry Day. It's going to be chaired by, not me, it's the ASH, Adult Social Care and Housing Policy and Scrutiny Panel. We have a great lineup that has been organised by the team. So there will be, hopefully we will be able to welcome a range of residents and prospective landlords, tenants to inform this panel. The last thing is, you know, we have an internal CLT exec session coming up to review our housing strategy. And I guess just to reflect that, if we all accept that there's a housing crisis, you know, I really welcome this opportunity to explore whether we are using all the tools we have in our toolkit to do what we can, such as, you know, making sure Section 106 funding can be used directly to provide housing, as in lots of other councils, or some other councils, making it more easy to build on council-owned smaller plots, perhaps, and making it easy for community land trusts, for example, or other sort of cooperative organisations, entities to get on work. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Jenna. Any other oral comments from exec members? Nope. I'll just add one, and that is just to put on record our thanks to all the teams that have been involved in supporting our communities with the flooding challenges that we've had in the last couple of months, and particularly the high tides that we had. I think it was, again, a really exemplary response from our teams right across highway, seafronts and other areas, and underlines the importance of us continuing to focus on making sure that we're protecting the environment, delivering the right kind of infrastructure for the long term, and making sure that we're addressing those issues together with the community and our partners. But particularly, big thank you to all the teams that were involved in that. Often goes unrecognised, but we really appreciate all hours, middle of the night, doing the right things to make sure that the community is kept safe. Okay, and then the final item is item 17, which is urgent business. There is none, so at 18:33, I'm happy to declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much, everyone. And just to remind you, you've got to get out quickly. Thank you very much.